What's up, boys? Today we're looking at my LS Swap Scion FRS Pro-Am level drift car. We're gonna run over some of the stuff, how my build escalated. I did a couple of these in the past and they seem to be doing really well as far as views, and people seem to be interested. So it's progressed a ton since the last video I just did. So I think you guys will like this a lot, and I can show you guys some of the cool custom bits I put on this car and hopefully give you guys some inspiration. We'll go over to the car now. All right, here she is. Let it be known it's not done yet. It's just at the beginning of spring right now, and the season's just about to start. So I'm waiting on some parts to finish this thing up fully, but it's kind of all torn apart right now, and this is a good time to show you guys all the things I did before I put like the body on and everything is covered up. So it's a good time to see it. First of all, we'll just start off like a little montage looking around it real quick, and then we'll dive into some of the cool stuff I did. All right, let's take a look at it. Still have the bumpers off and everything up front here, and there's actually no suspension on the front, which I'll explain in a minute, but it's pretty much all there. So the heart of the car now is a 6L LQ9. It is pretty much stock bottom end, top end. It's got 799 heads. It's got a big Texas speed cam, like a 239 duration. It's got lifters, it's got push rods, it's got trunnion upgrades, it's got stainless steel valves, and Canton Racing oil pan, and all the oiling upgrades, Melling high pressure oil pump, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty much just a basic LS build that's just reliable bottom end stock, and it's just got LS2 accessories and everything else LS2, and 80-pound injectors, and that's pretty much it for the engine. It's not too complicated, nothing like crazy machine work or anything, but this setup should make a good conservative, probably 450 wheel. I have yet to get it tuned yet. I just put this engine in and just built it this winter. But in addition to that, I run nitrous. I am waiting on my nitrous plate to show up here, but we'll have a nitrous plate in between the throttle body here. I'm just running a wet shot, and I plan to do a 100 shot, so I should make somewhere in the area of 550 wheel on nitrous. That's what I'm assuming. But that's just a basic little overview of the engine here. As far as accessories, we got main thing is the KRC power steering pump. Drifting is really taxing on your power steering, and you're going to a hydraulic pump. People blow up the stock ones all the time, and I actually had an electric setup on here before, which actually went bad, so I decided to switch over to the hydraulic route. So I got this aftermarket KRC pump. So far I've had great results with it. It's really powerful, and you can tune the feel with different flow valves, so I recommend that so far. And I have a remote tank for it as well, which helps keep fluid temps down, which is a big thing. You want to have a lot of coolers on a drift car because the fluid does get very hot. As far as other accessories, we just have 180 amp alternator down there. Might upgrade that soon depending on if it can hang with some of the stuff I have in the back. Have not tried that yet, but hopefully that just stays there. That's just factory. And then we've got just like Camaro accessories, I believe. So just a stock GM balancer, just a normal tensioner, and then we've got these water pump that was just modified for AN16 fittings down here. So nothing too crazy in the front. And then this car has a rear mount in it, which I'll show you guys in a minute. But the nice thing about that, there's no radiator in the front, so it just gives me tons of room to get good cold air in the front. So there's really nothing in the front here, which is I'm really pleased with. It gives me a nice little crumple zone up here, and there's just nothing in the front. So it just simplifies things a lot, especially to work on the car. So That's pretty much it for the accessories on the car. So that's pretty much it for just the basic engine setup. Behind it, what transmission we're running? We're running a 300ZX transmission with the G-force adapters kit, and we've got a competition clutch behind that. And that's a 5-speed setup. It's not really common, but the transmission has been holding up fine. I've had it in there for 3 years so far. I have not blown it up yet, and if you know anything about them, they're extremely cheap. You can get the transmission for like $200. So I've been rocking that so far, and I used to have a 5.3 in this car, and it used to make around 350 wheel. So we're bumping up a little, about around 100 horsepower. We'll have to see if it can hang, but I'm hoping it's all good and I can keep running that transmission. As far as engine mounts to get this LS in here, I've got CX Racing engine mounts. They're all right. They do the job. The bushings aren't the best though. So if you end up doing that, I would get some spare bushings. I just had to replace some bushings this year when I put this engine in. After that, we'll just go over some of the stuff I have in the front. So I got these two 25 row oil coolers up here. So first one is an oil cooler. I've got a remote filter over here for the oil. These lines snake back there, and that's just a big oil filter, and then it goes into here. This is a cooler, and then that's a return. And then over here I've got a power steering cooler, same kind of setup. This comes off the rack, goes in here. We've got a power steering filter, and then it cycles back through. So just two little coolers up here. Might add some fans on them soon. But after that, it's pretty simple up here. ABS is deleted, just with all AN fittings, the whole brake line's AN. And we've just got the stock master cylinder, stock clutch master. It's still boosted, nothing crazy. And over here we've just got our fuel pressure regulator, and these are just the lines for the radiator. So this is all the coolant lines. We've got 3 lines here. The little one is the steam port, which is the highest point on the engine. It goes into these bulkhead fittings. And then these 2 are dash 16, which are our in and out of the motor, and that goes all the way to the back, which I'll show you soon. As far as headers, I actually am going to just be changing this probably just after this video. I have shorty headers on right now. These are just some cheap eBay LS2 GTO headers that actually fit really well in the FRS for an LS swap. And I just cut them and put a V-band on them. And I've been rocking these for about 2 years, and they do fine. But they are like a shorty header, and the sound isn't as good as like you would get with like a long tube. And nobody really makes a long tube that's really good for this car that will fit my setup. So I'm actually gonna build my own custom headers here soon. I'll probably make a video on it too. So if you see this video before that, check it out. So going over some more stuff in the front end here. I don't have my angle kit on here right now. I used to run PBM angle kit. I actually just sold that, and I'm making a switch to FDF angle kit. They're building me a kit for some different brakes and everything right now. So the whole front of the whole hubs and everything are off right now, which won't be here for a little bit longer. But you can just take a look at some of the stuff I have down here. So that's our big Canton Racing drift pan. It holds a lot more oil than a factory pan, and it's got a lot of baffling in there to help oil starvation. The subframe I have in here is custom. This is actually, so I run a hydraulic steering pump, and if you know anything about FRSs, they're electric power steering with a manual rack, and that just doesn't really work good at big angle with drifting. So this actually has a Nissan 240SX steering rack in it. This steering rack is 100%, I mean this subframe is 100% custom. I made my own mounts for the steering rack and everything. But this FDF kit I just bought, they make an actual welded piece for a subframe. I actually have a spare one here that I will be cutting up to put their plate in, so I can run a Nissan 240 steering rack in the FRS here with hydraulic steering. So that subframe will be coming out soon, and I'll put my rack in it, and then I'll get the whole angle kit in there, and they'll be ready to go. And then to run a steering rack like that, you got to change some of the steering setup. So we can move in onto the interior here. All right, so moving on to the interior here, we'll just start with the main thing. The car is a roll cage. I actually built this roll cage myself. It's a full FD spec roll cage, and I actually made a whole series on it on my YouTube. So if you want to learn how to make a roll cage for your FRS, go ahead and check it out. I'll put the link in the description. You can just see it on my channel. It's got the anti-intrusion bars, double door bars. It's 1.5 inch DOM tubing, and it's all gusseted. It's tucked up really tight. This is my first cage ever, and I'm really happy with it. I really took my time with it to just get it to fit really tight back here, and it doesn't get in my way of my vision or anything like that, so I'm pretty happy with it. Let me turn on some of the lights in here and you guys can see a little bit better. So just the main thing, we have our kill switch here, which puts on the power to the car. Gotta flip on power to the switch panel, and we'll fire up some stuff. All right, so first of all, seats. This is a Bride Zeta 3, I believe. It's a real one. And then the passenger seat is the eBay Bride. And in the back here, we have just our nitrous tank back there. And it's a 10-pound nitrous tank, and our fire suppression bottle. I still got to do some stuff with the fire suppression, so that's just kind of laying back there. But in the back, I have a custom firewall that separates the back of the car for the rear mount, which I'll show you guys soon. But that was a huge pain in the ass to build. So if you ever end up doing this, make sure you plan some time for that, because that takes a while. But that's pretty much it back there. I got a little Busman fuse box back there, which controls all the fuel pumps, fans, and water pumps back there. That's just a little intermediate piece there. And then up here, we just have another I'm pretty paranoid about catching this thing on fire. I've never done it, but I just don't want to let it burn down. So I got another fire extinguisher here to hopefully never have to use one day. The whole car runs on a Holley Terminator. I had some funny, you can kind of customize your own dashes on here, so I had some funny ones. I got Hot Boy Dale there, but this is the one I mainly run the most. So the whole car runs on a standalone ECU. There is no factory wiring in this car at all. It's all got ripped out, and I built a whole custom chassis harness, which powers things. I do have like electric windows and all that stuff. So, and tail lights, turn signals, all that stuff. So it is a kind of a street car, if you will. And then powering the engine, it's got a whole standalone Terminator X ECU harness, which is right over there with those little lights. So I have the Holley dash, digital dash, and you can customize it to whatever you want, put whatever pictures you want, and it's pretty cool. So that's where I get all my data from. I got my most important stuff, just like oil, water, battery, AFR, nitrous, water pump, all that stuff. And I just got a little Innervate AFR gauge. And here's the shifter over here. And then we've got a nameless hydro with the dual caliper setup. I actually just put a radio in this car because, you know, street car. So can't really hear it that well, but it's got two little speakers behind the seat here. Because, you know, I do like to drive this thing on the street. So just as much as I like drifting, I like to have my music. So besides that, pedal-wise, I know that's a common thing when I was doing my swap. People don't know what pedal to use. So I got a manual cable throttle body. And this is actually like a 2002 WRX steering pedal, which is cable. And it actually matches the factory FRS pedals. And then I actually have Subaru Baja cable, which actually works great. It's like a perfect length for the setup. So if you're doing that, go ahead and check it out. I had to make some mounts down there for the pedal, but that's a good thing because I hate like when people have like swaps and other pedals. It just looks trashy in my opinion. So I've got some matching pedals, which is kind of cool. In addition to, the whole chassis is stitch welded. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but when I did the cage, I stitch welded the whole chassis, and the whole inside is painted with a paint called Steel It, which is 304 stainless steel. It's like really resistant to scratching and stuff like that. It's like kind of short of powder coat. It just sprays out of a can, and that's what all this gray paint is. I really recommend it. As far as for the interior, I think that's all we really have to show. It's really not too complicated in here. If you don't need it to drive fast and drift, it's really not in there. This is just the little pull for the fire suppression system. But oh yeah, besides that, we have a woodward steering column. This is I had to do this when I put the 240 rack in it. This lets you kind of just it lets you get rid of the factory column. It lightens things up. It's adjustable, and it lets you put whatever you want for like Heim joints down there, or universal joints, to connect the steering. And we've just got like an Adam Z steering wheel and a quick release on there. It just pops right on. But that's it. So a quick little thing, we'll take a look at the rear mount radiator lines. So like I said, they come from the engine. They go into here to these bulkhead -16 fittings. I'll show you guys where they come in. I just finished this up this winter. It's kind of a process. It's a little dirty down here. I got to sweep. Just was doing some drilling, but mind the mess of wiring. I mean, I have a lot in this car with just like things to run. So I try to do it as clean as possible, but it's not perfect. So they come in right there. You can see the lines through a bulkhead. And then I have fire sleeves on them, which is what you have to run it in a car, Formula Drift rules. And the lines come down here. This little Street Faction plate. This is actually for the driver's side, typically. I just cut it up, modified it to fit for the passenger side. And that's where my passenger feet go. Lines come under here. Cut a little hole in this little chassis there. Then goes underneath the seat and then back in to the bulkhead down there. And that then runs underneath the car into the back. So we'll move to the back. So the whole car's, I have a 2F kit for the car, which actually you cut the whole back of the car off to run it. It's all fiberglass. So I know you guys see my car that there's nothing here, but actually in reality, you run, there's these panels that just bolt into here, and it's the whole back of the car is just fiberglass. This is what all like the big drift cars and stuff do, because when they're smacking into cars all the time, it's a lot of work to be replacing metal quarter panels. It's a lot easier just to throw a new fiberglass panel on there. So it's actually the whole back end of the car is removable, which is actually pretty nice to work on, and it just makes things really light and simple. So we'll go to the rear mount here. So I built this wall like I was talking about earlier. This is just a sheet metal wall that typically the rear window would come all the way down to here, and there'd be nothing here. So I built this wall, and then this is just a Lexan rear window that I made. But you have to separate everything from inside the car. So there's that wall there. It's all seam sealed. Then we have this is just a Jegs triple pass radiator here. It's like a biggest one I could freaking fit back here. I don't know the exact dimensions, but it's pretty big. It's plenty for the LS. So I've got that in there, and I've got welded -16 fittings on both sides down there. This is actually the in. Goes through this triple pass, and then goes down there to that fitting. Then that is a Mazir 55 gallon per minute electric water pump. So I have 2 water pumps in this car. Got the mechanical one, which pumps it in here, and then I have this water pump as well, which boosts it on the way back. Some people say you don't need it, some people say you need it. I just have it there just in case. It actually flows through, so it doesn't hinder flow at all when it's not on. So I have it set up, programmed in my ECU to kick on at a certain temperature to help just boost the signal. I can run that and out the fans if I have to. So that's just an extra booster. You could run the car off that water pump if you wanted to. And then as far as that, just got our expansion tank here. This is the highest point on the car with the coolant. So all the air goes to here. Got a little T. So the highest point on the radiator goes here. The highest point on the engine goes here. This is just where all the air collects and bleeds out. I built this little shroud here so it doesn't look so weird when you have the trunk on. Sorry I don't have any on right now, but I'll make sure to make some videos here in the future. Down here, so we'll go over some of the fueling setup. So first of all, I got a little Chevy fuel cell breather. This is just a breather for the tank. We have, so we'll take a look at the back real quick, and I can explain some of the fueling setup here. It's not too crazy, but got a custom tube frame back here. I built this whole tube frame myself. I made a video on that. If you're interested, you can check it out. But it just bolts in, 4 bolts on the frame rail here. And so this is all replaceable if I have to replace it. The main thing, I built these to take impacts. You can see it. These are supposed to be replaceable, so if I smack into something, this will hit first. And they're all bent to bend. And you can just replace these bolts here and put a new thing on. Hopefully I don't really get too far into this structure here, but if I do, it's there to protect the fuel cell and everything else. It's got a 12-gallon fuel safe race cell in it. There's no pumps in here. It's all external pumps. We have, and then just our little battery thing I made here. It's a, why can't I think of the name? Optima red top in it. With it's pretty much simple. It's just Optima red top, 1200 cranking amps, I believe. Back here we got our Durail fans, or Durail fans. These are 2000 CFM a piece. These things are really, really aggressive fans, and hopefully that's plenty of fan to run this car. I have not tested it yet, but it should be plenty. As the radiator being in the back, we don't really get a lot of wind going to it, so these fans would have to keep it cool, because there's only so much air you can get to it when it's in the back of the car like that, especially when you're drifting. So more on the fuel. So the pickup goes to a Bosch 044 fuel pump. Goes through here, goes into my flex fuel sensor, and then goes into a fuel filter. Then it goes into this radium surge tank. Inside this radium surge tank, we have a Walbo 450 fuel pump, which then feeds the engine. And that's pretty much it for the fuel. It's not too complicated back here. We got a lot going on, but it's relatively simple. I got a little jack point back there that I jack the car up with when I change the tires. And the exhaust just comes out right back here, which I'll probably end up redoing before the start of the season. These little mounts are for my trunk. The trunk just kind of slops on here. It's got little pins, hood pins on it. And then the whole back of the trunk is cut out to let the exhaust air flow out. And that's pretty much it. In the back, as far as arms, the whole car's on BC suspension. We've got just a factory dual caliper kit, just factory calipers, the Dayton 1 brackets, with that other hydro. Then only other arms I have back here right now is I've got aftermarket toe arms to adjust the toe, and I've just got lever control arms here that are adjustable, adjust some camber, stock sway bar and everything right now, which I plan to beef up here soon. But as far as that, this thing loves to break axles, so especially with grippy tires. So I have just got some new drive shaft shop units in there. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, it's got drive shaft shop like 850 horsepower axles in it with IS 300 welded diff. I don't have the factory torsion in it. I got an IS 300 open diff, which you weld. It's a 3:9 ratio, and I have a one-piece drive shaft, and that is plenty to kill some tires. All right, so I'm sure I forgot some stuff in the whole build, but I tried to cover most of it before this video got too long and I bored you guys too much. But if you guys want to see more of the car, make sure you like, comment, and just let me know what else you guys want to see. I'll make some more videos. I was kind of slacking last year. I love the car. I did a lot of work to the car, but I didn't really take much videos, so the last video you saw would probably look a lot different than this if you were a subscriber. I'm gonna try to make more videos here soon, just drifting and just doing fun stuff with the car. I'll probably end up driving the car around with no body on it, like you see right now. Get some crazy looks and reactions with it, and test out everything. But I hope you guys liked the video. Feel free to let me know what you guys think. Thanks.